Before we start, take a moment to like and subscribe. Imagine being one of 12 brothers, but your dad loves you more than all the others combined. That was Joseph's life. He was the son of Jacob's old age, and his father didn't just love him, he doted on him. To show his favoritism, Jacob gave Joseph a stunning long-sleeved tunic of many colors, a gift that was anything but subtle. This isn't your average fashion statement. It was a symbol of Jacob's special love and a clear sign that Joseph was his favorite. The brothers, as you can imagine, absolutely hated Joseph. Their hatred only grew when Joseph started having dreams. In one dream, he saw himself and his brothers tying up bundles of grain in a field. Suddenly, his bundles stood upright, and all of his brothers' bundles gathered around and bowed down to it. When he told them about it, they were furious. "Are you saying you're going to be a king and rule over us?" they scoffed. A second dream was even more dramatic. He saw the sun, the moon, and 11 stars bowing down to him. When he told this to his family, even his father scolded him. "Will I, your mother, and your brothers actually come and bow down to you?" he asked. But while Jacob pretended to be annoyed, he quietly pondered the meaning of these dreams. The brothers, however, had heard enough. Their jealousy boiled into a dangerous hatred. One day, while Joseph's brothers were out tending their flocks far from home, Jacob sent Joseph to check on them. As soon as the brothers saw him approaching in the distance, they hatched a terrible plan. "Here comes that dreamer," one of them sneered. "Let's kill him and throw him into a pit. We'll just tell our father that a wild animal devoured him." But one brother, Reuben, secretly wanted to save him. He suggested they just throw Joseph into a dry well instead, planning to rescue him later. The moment Joseph arrived, they attacked him, ripped off his precious coat, and threw him into the cistern. They sat down to eat, feeling no guilt. But soon they saw a caravan of Ishmaelite traders on their way to Egypt. A new, more profitable idea sparked in their minds. Instead of leaving him to die, they could sell him. So they pulled Joseph out of the pit and sold him for 20 pieces of silver. To cover their tracks, they dipped Joseph's coat in goat's blood and took it back to their father, who was devastated, believing his beloved son was dead. Now, picture Joseph, a young man who was once pampered and loved, now a slave in a foreign land. The traders took him to Egypt and sold him to Potiphar, a high-ranking official in Pharaoh's court. But Joseph didn't despair. He stayed faithful and worked so hard that God blessed everything he did. Soon, Potiphar noticed that Joseph was not just a good worker, but an exceptional one. He put Joseph in charge of his entire household, trusting him with everything he owned. But Joseph's good fortune didn't last forever. He was a very handsome young man, and Potiphar's wife took notice. Every day she tried to seduce him. "Come to bed with me," she would say. But Joseph, a man of incredible integrity, refused. "My master has given me everything in this house," he told her. "The only thing he has not given me is you, because you are his wife." How could I do such a wicked thing and sin against God? One day, when no one was around, she grabbed his cloak and he ran out of the house, leaving his garment in her hand. Furious at his refusal, she screamed and concocted a lie. When her husband came home, she showed him the cloak and claimed Joseph had tried to attack her. Potiphar, enraged in believing his wife's story, threw Joseph into the king's prison, a place reserved for royal prisoners. Even in prison, Joseph's character and faith shone through. The warden saw that Joseph was trustworthy and gave him authority over all the other prisoners. It was in this dungeon that Joseph met two of Pharaoh's officials, his chief cupbearer and his chief baker, who had been in prison for offending the king. One morning, both men were deeply troubled by their dreams. Joseph, seeing their distress, offered to help. "Do not interpretations belong to God? Tell me your dreams," he said. The cupbearer went first, describing his dream of squeezing grapes into Pharaoh's cup. Joseph listened and interpreted it perfectly. "Within 3 days, Pharaoh will restore you to your position." He then asked the cupbearer to remember him and mention him to Pharaoh. The baker, seeing this good news, eagerly shared his dream of carrying 3 baskets of baked goods on his head, which birds were eating. Joseph's face, however, fell. "The 3 baskets mean 3 days," he explained sadly. "In 3 days, Pharaoh will lift off your head and hang you on a tree, and the birds will eat your flesh." 3 days later, both dreams came true, exactly as Joseph had foretold. The cupbearer was restored to his old job, but he forgot all about Joseph. And for 2 long years, Joseph waited, a man forgotten in a cell. 2 years passed, and then a crisis. Pharaoh himself had 2 disturbing dreams in one night. And the first, he saw 7 healthy fat cows emerge from the Nile, followed by 7 gaunt, sickly cows that devoured the healthy ones. In the second, he saw 7 plump heads of grain, followed by 7 withered heads that swallowed up the good ones. Pharaoh's mind was in turmoil, but none of his magicians or wise men could interpret the dreams. Suddenly, the chief cupbearer remembered Joseph. "I remember my faults today," he said to Pharaoh. "When I was in prison, a young Hebrew named Joseph interpreted my dream perfectly." Pharaoh immediately sent for Joseph. Joseph was quickly cleaned up and brought before the king. Pharaoh told him the dreams and said, "I have heard it said that when you hear a dream, you can interpret it." Joseph, ever humble and faithful, responded, "It is not in me." God will give Pharaoh the answer he desires. He then revealed the meaning of the dreams. The 7 good cows and 7 good heads of grain are 7 years of great plenty that are coming to all of Egypt, and the 7 gaunt cows and withered heads are 7 years of terrible famine that will follow. The famine will be so severe that it will consume all the abundance. He then advised Pharaoh to appoint a wise and discerning man to oversee the land, storing up 1/5 of the harvest during the years of plenty to prepare for the famine. Pharaoh, impressed by Joseph's wisdom, said to his officials, "Can we find anyone else like this man, in whom is the Spirit of God?" In a single breathtaking moment, Joseph went from a prisoner to the most powerful man in Egypt, second only to Pharaoh himself. Pharaoh gave him a new name, married him to a high-born woman, and gave him his own signet ring, a gold chain, and royal robes. This is one of the things Joseph is most famous for: his incredible elevation from a forgotten prisoner to a ruler. 7 years of plenty came, and Joseph, with his incredible wisdom, collected and stored grain like never before. Then the 7 years of famine hit, just as he had predicted. The famine was so widespread that people from all surrounding lands came to Egypt to buy food. Among them were 10 of Joseph's older brothers sent by their father Jacob to buy grain. When they arrived, they bowed down before the governor of Egypt, not realizing it was their own brother, Joseph, whom they had sold so many years ago. Joseph recognized them immediately. Instead of revealing himself, he spoke to them harshly through an interpreter, accusing them of being spies. He tested them by holding one brother hostage and demanding they bring their youngest brother, Benjamin, with them on their next trip. When they returned with Benjamin, Joseph was so overwhelmed with emotion that he had to excuse himself to weep. He then tested them one last time, hiding his silver cup in Benjamin's sack to see if they would abandon him. But this time, Judah pleaded for Benjamin, offering to take his place as a slave. Seeing their genuine change of heart, Joseph could no longer hold back. He sent everyone else away and, weeping uncontrollably, revealed himself to his brothers. "I am Joseph. Is my father still living?" The brothers were terrified, but Joseph comforted them. "Do not be distressed or angry with yourselves because you sold me here, for God sent me ahead of you to preserve life." He explained that all their suffering and cruelty was part of a divine plan to save his family. Joseph brought his entire family to Egypt, and they were given the best land in the kingdom to live on. Joseph's childhood dreams came true, but not through his own pride, through humility, suffering, and a deep, unwavering faith in God's plan.